Just figure out an organization that focuses on Industry 4.0 manufacturing. Yes, I'm looking at Tom, our next guest. Uh, Heck, let's just bring you in, Tom. I want to introduce you to these two crazy guys. Tom Kelly is a longtime friend. Matt and I have known him forever. He's the CEO, executive director. I'm sure there's other titles in there of Automation Alley. And I know I've been a member, I've been affiliated with Automation Alleys, gosh, since the year 2000. So I'm really familiar with them. And what they work with is manufacturers. And it seems like we got something here to talk about. But let's talk a little about this, and then we'll talk about Automation Alley. Is there any way that, I mean, I know your group is more focused on automotive and things like that, but hemp, that could be a really major manufacturing thing in this state, right?
It sure could. Yeah. I mean, we'd be happy to help. You know, we focus, I'm sorry, I missed the whole conversation. We focus on how to apply technology to manufacturers so that they can keep up with the digitization of everything. I'm sure in the hemp industry, because it's relatively new, you can apply some pretty sophisticated processes and some sensor technology and things that really could be teachable moments for the rest of the industry.
Yeah. Well, let's, Dave and Blain, unless you got to go somewhere, why don't you stick around? This could be an interesting conversation. I'm going to introduce you to Automation Alley. You may have never heard of them before. They're based out of Troy, but actually you cover the whole 10-county area of southeast Michigan. That's where all your members are drawn from.
We cover the whole state now, Mike. Did you know
that?
Oh, do you? We did a deal with the MEDC. We are offering free memberships paid for by the state of Michigan to all 12,000 manufacturers in the state of Michigan.
Oh, my gosh.
It's big news. Yeah, it's pretty cool.
I must have missed that. I guess I didn't get that memo on that. So,
yeah.
But anyway, yeah. So I mean, I think Blain and Dave that Tom and his organization could, because they're in the very nascent stages. I mean, they need to build out that infrastructure to process all this stuff. It's wonderful to grow it. And, of course, they need customers. And you might have come in late, but I know the auto industry is beginning to take a serious look at hemp for...
Well, and that's part of an overall auto industry push for more sustainable materials in all sorts of applications.
Well, then lighter weight, too, as well. It's lighter weight. So...
Yeah. So you've got, bioplastics, you've got biofabrics, there's a lot of things moving in that direction. And I think hemp could probably play a role in that. You were showing, Dave, you were showing a hemp plastic cup earlier. I think it's still sitting there next to you. So
and a couple of them. Yep.
And he's got the hemp frisbees, and Dave's into all sorts of stuff.
Now, is that partially hemp fiber and partially regular PET, or is it something else?
Yeah. So like this frisbee, it's 75% virgin polypropylene.
Okay.
And 25% hemp fiber. Now, I've started a recycling campaign. We haven't kicked it off very aggressively yet, but recycling's broke. I won't take a lot of time, Mike, but I think this is really important. So our recycling's broke, but if everybody would just get me their rinsed liquid detergent container, that's a specific kind, all of them, it doesn't matter what brand, but your liquid laundry detergent container, there's a company in Grand Rapids, Padnos, that will grind those up and we can use them to make more frisbees.
Wow, I like it. So, Tom, I know Automation Alley, Matt does, but Dave and Blain don't. So, other than the news that you just laid on me that I was totally unaware of, sorry about that, talk a little bit about Automation Alley. I mean, I know Industry 4.0 is a big deal for you, but there's other things you're doing too, right?
Well, yeah, I mean, I think it all starts in the basis that Automation Alley has grown up, if you will. You've been known us for 20 years, but in the last 4 years, we kind of pivoted, and we're now a statewide organization focused on helping manufacturers digitize. And this is really critical because technology is moving so fast that the tier ones, the OEs, they're getting it, and they're investing a lot of money in digitizing. But they also allocate capital all around the world, and they don't really focus on how to save Michigan. They just focus on saving their own hide. And so we are the ones focused on saving all the manufacturers in Michigan and saying, listen, you got to understand that even though you think you're making product in an efficient way, the sand is shifting under you, and you're going to turn unprofitable if you don't keep up with this digitization trend. And so many of our manufacturers don't really understand. They think, oh, that's a big company game. We can't play in that. We don't have the skills or the money to be able to do the kind of projects that the bigs do. And what we're saying is, for God's sake, sensors cost $20 today, Mike. I can buy a little sensor, put it on a machine and measure heat and vibration and current and thermal energy, all kinds of stuff, and it goes right to my phone. So nobody can tell me that they can't measure their processes, along with 3D printing, which is another technology. Every single little manufacturer needs to understand 3D printing and what it means. You could probably 3D print those Frisbees if you could figure out how to get the hemp and the and the PET into the nozzle at the same time. And I'm sure they're working on that. Somebody is somewhere. So it's a great time to be in manufacturing in Michigan, especially for what we're trying to do.
Dave or Blain, do you have any questions for Tom?
No, I just want to reiterate what he's talking about there. I just read an article the other day where they're out of the printing, the 3D printing, they're actually making beans, hemp beans out of it.
Wow.
So, yeah, it's happening.
Yeah, they 3D print food now. They 3D print chocolate. You can make all kinds of intricate chocolate confection type stuff. But, you know, from our perspective, we just did Project Diamond, Mike and Matt, you know about this, where we distributed 300 printers to 300 small manufacturers in Oakland and Macomb County. And we're starting to get all the stories back. So we got one little manufacturer. He was buying a stainless steel valve for his machines that he sells, paying $100 for that valve, had to get it from somebody else offshore. He now prints a carbon fiber valve for $2. We just told that story. So before he got the printer, he didn't know that was possible. Yeah. He said, I got to use stainless steel because it's a corrosive environment. And the intricacy of the valve, I can't do it myself. I got to pay for it outside. Well, 3D printing, you can be as intricate, more intricate than what they can do outside. So he's making $100 extra on his machine now, and he's got more control over his process. And he's turned his one engineer loose and said, I want you to look at everything we make or put on this machine. Anything we can make, we want to start making in-house. You know, we got Valentine vodka, Matt, where they're now making, you know, they got all those lines that fill the bourbon and the vodka, you know, glass bottles. Well, those lines break down all the time, and they're made in Italy. And he's got to wait to get those parts. Guess what? He prints them himself now. This is a vodka distillery. So you got to get with the 3D program. It's so powerful.
Yeah, that's why
I think that's going to take a lot of research there, Tom. I think we should do that research together. What do you think? So,
I know a civil engineering professor that became a 3D printing expert because he got tired of paying so much for lab equipment for his laboratory.
Right.
So he started making his own, you know, vessels and beakers and pipes and all of that stuff. Yeah. You know, that he had to buy from a supply house, and he can make it for 1/10 of the price out of recycled milk jugs. So, you know, because that's basically what the plastic used in most cheap 3D printers is. But they're not just doing plastics now. They're doing metals. They're doing composites. They're doing, as you said, food. You know, we're like, you know, 20 years away from the Star Trek replicator. Maybe, you know, you just push a button, you get a chicken sandwich. So,
yeah, but you know that
you're going to eat that first, though. I'm not going to eat that first. But go ahead.
That plays right into our hands, though, because you're not going to make it at a big plant in China. You're going to make it local to where you got to consume it. So you're going to have all these micro plants. The U.S. is a net importer of tons of manufacturing stuff because we quote lost that industry to Mexico and China decades ago. Well, guess what? If we actually think about it, we should get all that industry back because we're the consumer. They just make the stuff. They don't actually use it or buy it. Yeah. China's trying to buy it themselves, but they're not there yet. Everything comes, you know, word of mouth, and everything goes to the U.S. mouth. If we can make it cheaply with 3D printing, we're going to win that battle. And that's what Automation Alley tries to do every day. Get the small guys to go, you know what, you can do this. Stop making excuses. Get in here.
Yeah, we got to get the state behind the idea of really encouraging hemp production, because there's 20,000 products you can make with hemp, and we're a manufacturing state. I mean, you know, these two guys are, well, Dave's the president of iHemp, and so I mean, he's got a big organization of growers looking for customers. So I mean, we could have a nice marriage ceremony here.
Yeah,
well, that's sustainability.
Carbon fiber is like the dirtiest product out there. I mean, you know, if you're concerned about global warming and carbon production, carbon fiber is not the way to go. So, there's replacements coming, through hemp.
And we'd love to hear about it. I mean, if you can have the hemp industry married to the filaments that go into 3D printing, because 3D printing is going to be, there's going to be very little subtractive in 20 years. It's all going to be additive. Subtractive is an incredibly wasteful process. You start with something bigger and make it smaller. Who does that, right? Yeah. So everything's going to go additive. And if you can figure that out, Dave, you're going to have a nice sweet spot.
Oh yeah, and the nice thing about it is that we can do that right now. There's a machine that takes the hemp and turns it into a very, very fine powder and very dry, which is what they need in the plastics industry. So we can supply that they need. You got it there, Dave? Yeah.
I see it.
So yeah, so that can happen, and the cool thing is that I can supply that material. So
micronized hemp hurd.
Yeah, you got to say something because the camera moves to the audio.
Oh, okay, so, yes, micronized hemp hurd.
And then, of course, Blain, he already got his emperor hat on. Go ahead. You got to say something, otherwise the camera won't move to you. So
okay. Well, I don't want to take away from our other speaker. I mean, he was getting a lot of good stuff there. So I'll find that article about the bridges or the beams they're making and send that to you so we can move forward with that. Because, yeah, they're already doing it. They're doing it somehow, and we'll figure it out. So.
Yeah, I'm on their show on Thursdays, the iHemp Hour, and at the end of the show, Blain always comes up with a hemp recipe where you can blend hemp of some kind, some variation thereof, into whatever you're cooking, and it's good for you. I mean, we can't say it's medicinal because the FDA won't allow us to say that, but it does really help with inflammation, things like that, sleep, you name it. It just does a bunch of different things. So,
yeah, the last recipe, Mike, I think you were on that show. They actually make a hemp vodka out of hemp seeds. It's really good. So we came up with a new and original drink. It's called Colorado. I'm going to say it was Dave. Colorado starts at 11, and it's a hemp seed vodka and orange juice and cranberry juice, garnished with a hemp leaf on the top. Mm-hmm.
Well, there you go.
Starts at 11. Yeah, that's what it was.
I think that's another thing that Tom and I will have to explore. So, but we're coming down with about 5 minutes to go, Matt. I've been monopolizing the show. I'm sure you have more questions. Go ahead.
No, that's okay. I'm just curious what Automation Alley is up to in terms of a return to in-person events. I know you have that beautiful space there in Troy for meetings and seminars and all sorts of good stuff. Are you pretty close to reusing that again?
Hey, Mike, Matt, Dave, Blain, we are fully open.
All right.
No masks, no nothing. Come on out. We have people in the building. It's awesome to see. And tomorrow, we're actually doing our tech and industry report reveal. So this is a report we do every year, guys. This is last year's. It's a great big book. Really talks about all these use cases and what's happening in digitization for the small guy. The next report comes out tomorrow, and we'll be doing it here with, we got Congresswoman Stevens is going to help us do the intro of the report, and then we got a gentleman from Magna, Amron. So it's going to be a great session. It's tomorrow from 11 to noon. It'll be here, and it'll also be streamed live.
That's what I was going to say, because it's a bit of a hike for me. I'm in Ann Arbor, so I'd love to be able to watch it live. So
Magna was involved in making this mold.
What? Who was Magna?
Yep.
Oh, fantastic. Well, they got all the skill necessary to do that for sure.
Yep. We've since we have a new mold. But Tom, I want to ask you, what are you doing? Are you doing anything to get those skilled labor back into the workforce, or to find labor?
Yes, we are, but it's not enough. We are, one of the reasons that we push digitization and automation so hard is, for the last 30 years, everybody in Michigan viewed automation as a dirty word. They viewed it as a job killer. And, you can fight last year's battle, but it ain't going to help you. Going forward, automation and productivity are critical. And we have to have, obviously skilled trades, and we need to be training people to come into that. But we're already 1 million, 2 million jobs short in manufacturing nationwide. And people are not lining up to come into manufacturing. In fact, manufacturing went from being a high wage industry to being a low wage industry. I mean, they pay less than Amazon on the floor in some instances. And we got to get over that. And they all say, well, I got squeezed by China so hard. The way you unsqueeze yourself is you have to get so much productivity that you can double sales with the staff you have. then you can double wages. Then you can be competitive again. So it's about getting the skilled trades, Dave, but it's also about changing the perception. Manufacturers have been beat up so bad, they forgot how to be productive, where they can pay 40, 50 bucks an hour all in, right? The bigs can, the OEs and the tier ones don't have trouble. They do have trouble, but they have less trouble because they can pay a higher scale. But we got to get the littles to be able to pay that scale. So I would say it's a combination of everything, Dave.
I was reading an article. I can't remember if it was Ford or GM, but somebody was opening a new factory in Detroit, and they needed 400 people and got 60 people to apply or something like that.
Wow. That's terrible.
Yeah. Well, again, it goes back to if you can make 15 bucks an hour. Of course, I'm not sure I'd want to work for Amazon from the stories I hear about them.
That's true. Yeah. Why do we have an image problem with them, right? We should be lining them up to work at GM or Ford or Stellantis, for God's sakes.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, well, coming down towards the end, so I'm going to let everybody give a chance to put out their information on where people can go for more information from them, whether it be a website, email, phone, whatever. Let's start with Blain.
All right, so hemp-Michigan.com is the website you can go to, learn more about us, become a member if you like. It's pretty inexpensive. You'll keep up on what's happening in the hemp world for sure. We have a lot of great events planned throughout the year. And Friday night at the Crazy Horse Saloon, starting at 7, we're going to have a little what we call hemp working. That's not networking, it's hemp working at the Crazy Horse Saloon, starting at 7 o'clock. So,
All right, Dave, you're next.
Yeah, that's good. So iHemp Michigan, I launched iHemp Manufacturing. So if you go to ihempmfg.com, you can purchase a made in Michigan hemp frisbee. So we're just excited. We're moving things forward in the industry. There's a lot of innovation in the space.
All right, Tom.
Well, Mike, the drill, it's automationalley.com. And don't forget, October 19th is Integrate 2021 at the Detroit TCF Center. It's live. It's in person. There'll be about 1,500 people there. It's going to be a great day.
Traditional four-year students love Lawrence Technological University's thriving campus life. But LTU has always met non-traditional students' needs too. Lawrence Tech offers over 100 degree and certificate programs that can get adult students started or back on track. And most of our classes are conveniently offered evenings at our beautiful Southfield campus or online, so you can balance your social, family, and work life even while you power up your career. Lawrence Tech, where Blue Devils dare.